In this video, I will discuss one of the important works in the field of literary criticism, that is Poetics, written by Aristotle. Before going to the topic, let us discuss about Aristotle. Aristotle was born in Macedonia. He was a Greek philosopher and a polymath. He was a student of Plato and teacher of Alexander. He wrote more than 150 books such as Rhetorics, Poetics, Poetry, Economy, Polity, and many more. Dante, in his Divine Comedy, appreciated Aristotle as the master of those who know. Aristotle's Poetics has 26 chapters and 3 parts. The first part contains introduction to artistic mimesis, whereas second part analyzes tragedy. The third part compares tragedy and epic poetry and concludes that tragedy is better than epic poetry. Aristotle mentions types of poetry such as epic, tragedy, dithyrambic, comedy, and music, and mentions that poetry is an art of imitation. Here, poetry imitates the human behavior, nature, experience through harmony, rhythm, language, and poetic meter. Aristotle differentiates between flat poetry and noble poetry. Flat poetry means imitation of lower class. It is also called comedy. Noble poetry means imitation of noble class, which also means tragedy. Aristotle mentions tragedy portrays people as better than in reality, whereas comedy portrays them as worse. Aristotle defines tragedy as an imitation of action that is serious and complete. Here, action refers to the action that take place in the life of human beings. These actions are portrayed in a serious manner. These actions must be complete. That means a tragedy must not end abruptly. Further, Aristotle mentions it is dramatic, not in a narrative form, which means tragedy must be suitable to perform on the stage. The tragedy must arouse pity and fear. Here, pity means sympathy. Catharsis is a aim of tragedy. Catharsis means purgation or purification. After watching a tragedy, there must be a cleansing action among the audience. The next important topic is 6 elements of tragedy. Aristotle considers 6 elements that are necessary to construct good tragedy. Those are plot, character, thought, diction, chorus, and spectacle. Plot is considered as first principle. It is also called soul of the tragedy. Here, how the soul is important to the body of human being. In a similar way, plot is important to a tragedy. A good tragedy must have a good beginning, middle, and end. Here, good beginning refers to a rising action, and in the middle, there must be a falling action. At the end, there must be a climax. Aristotle mentions that a tragedy must follow 3 unities. Those are action, time, place. Unity of action means all the scenes that are found in the tragedy must be connected to the main plot. Unity of time means the action must show the life that take place within 24 hours of time. Unity of place means there must be a single setting. All the events that take place must occur in a single place. Aristotle further compares Aristotle differentiates between simple plot and complex plot. Simple plot contains only peripeteia, but complex plot contains anagnorisis and peripeteia. Let's know the meaning of peripeteia. Peripeteia means reversal of the fortune. It means in the tragedy, the events take place opposite to the thought of character. For example, in the play Macbeth, Lady Macbeth wanted to become a queen, but she dies at the end due to her ambition. Another term is anagnorisis, which means realization. In the tragedy, a tragic hero or a characters realize their mistake at the end. For example, in the play Othello, Othello realizes his mistake of suspecting his wife Desdemona. Catharsis means purgation. After watching a tragedy, there must be a purification in the audience. Character is another important element. A character means a roles played in the tragedy. A tragic hero must have certain characters, such as he must be neither too good nor too bad. His error in the judgment must lead to his tragic flaw. That is termed as hamartia. Thought is another important element of a tragedy. Thought means a universal idea found in the tragedy. Diction refers to the language used in the tragedy. It contains figures of speech and stylistic narratives. Chorus is the group song found in the tragedy which aids for the development of the scenes. Spectacle refers to the sensory effects and dramatic constructions found, such as costume, scenery, and many other elements. At the end, Aristotle differentiates between epic poetry and tragedy. He believes that tragedy is a narrative in form, but epic poetry is narrative in form, but tragedy is dramatic. In epic poetry, different meters are used to write, but tragedy is written in a single meter. Many things may happen at a single time in epic poetry, but in a tragedy, only one thing takes place at one time. Song and spectacle are absent in epic poetry, but they are found in a tragedy. At the end, Aristotle believes tragedy does everything that epic poetry is capable, but within a narrow and more focused scope. Hence, he believes that tragedy will have more impact, and he declares that tragedy is superior than epic.